Welcome to VidCon Now Asia, part 5, coming to you live from India, and I have a very nervous kitten attacking my desk. Sorry about that. My name is Jasper Donat. I'm in Singapore, where we actually have a mega thunderstorm going on right now, which is why the kittens are very scared. So they might be making another appearance. This is like a Mumbai monsoon going on outside my house. Anyway, back to today. This week we are continuing our look at creators and the companies who are making it in Asia Pacific. We've had 4 previous episodes and we've learned that there really is no such thing as Asia. It's huge, multiple countries, languages, cultures, religions, regulations that are differing wildly country by country. We've been to China and Vietnam, and we've looked at a little bit of Southeast Asia, and we've talked about connecting with local audiences in local languages with relevance and authenticity. Now we are heading to one of my favorite countries on the planet, incredible India. And with the world's second largest population, India is one of the world's biggest video markets, with some absolutely jaw-dropping numbers being delivered. And we're going to talk about some of those as we go along. We're going to try and cover over 1 billion people in just under 45 minutes, and 2 very nervous kittens. But we have 3 fantastic speakers with us today to help us cover the market. We will meet them all one by one, but we have Satya Raghavan, who is the Director of Content Partnerships for YouTube. We also have the amazing owner of the Mostly Sane channel, the incredible Mostly Sane channel, Prajakta, Koli. But we're going to start with Gurpreet Singh. Gurpreet is the COO of One Digital, and certainly one of the most successful agencies working in the space. So we want to take a deep dive into the India market and open the door to ideas and business opportunities for anyone interested in working with this wonderful country. So before we hear from Gurpreet, just please remember we're always keen to hear feedback. Who else would you like us to interview? What subjects would you like us to cover? What would you like us to talk about? You can always find me at Jasper Donat and just send in your feedback. So let's go first to Gurpreet Singh, the COO of One Digital. I'm going to start with a congratulations. Gurpreet, you just got married. Congratulations to you, sir. I'm sorry we couldn't make the wedding. We have these, travel bans going on, but where in India are you right now, sir?
Thank you so much, Jasper, and thanks for your wishes, and thank you for skipping my wedding. I am in Bombay right now. I'm back in Mumbai. I got married in Chandigarh, but I'm back to work, back to my office at One Digital Entertainment, back to the lovely creators that we work with and our lovely team.
Now, you work with a lot of creators, so tell us a little bit more. Who are you, for people who don't know, and tell us a little bit more about One Digital.
I'm Gurpreet. I'm co-founder One Digital Entertainment. Been one of the few lucky ones who happen to work with the digital content ecosystem since the early days, back when in 2002 the content was being for the first time being monetized legally on the mobile handsets. I'm talking about Nokia 3310 days, when I was running a startup, creating monophonic ringtones, picture messages, operator logos, back in my hometown in Chandigarh. Since then, I've worked with Hungama, UTV, which is now Disney, telecom operator Do in UAE, setting up their content operations for UAE, Viacom 18, where there has been a significant shift for me in the media learning, looking after the digital business for MTV, Colors, VH1, and their TV channels. And then co-founded One Digital Entertainment, which is now India's largest digital creator and video network. We were one of the first companies in India to get certified by YouTube as well, to be the enterprise partners, while YouTube still is our mothership platform for the creators that we build. But at the same time, we today work with over 50 platforms, both audio and video streaming platforms globally, and represent over 3,000 content creators, some of the finest talents in the country. And we have our own in-house studios, entire production setup, our own sales teams, backed by a very good technology team working on data analytics and data mining, and also managing relationships with over 300 brands today. That's in a brief what we are. Thank you.
So I mean, double congratulations. I mean, A, congratulations on getting married, but B, congratulations on building such a wonderful company. I will say to people watching this, Gurpreet leads one of the most important digital media companies in India, but he has an absolutely shocking webcam. And if it looks smoky, it's his camera. There isn't someone smoking a cigar sitting next to him. So please forgive the technology on that. Gurpreet, let's go back a bit. Let's set the scene. We said, it's the world's second largest country and one of the most exciting for video. What's actually going on? Who are the big players in India? If I had just landed from Mars, what's going on in India? So, and in the context of VidCon, so for online video and creators and platforms and what have you.
I think if you are not aware about India, then the biggest thing is that it is the biggest video market right now. Not one of the biggest markets. It is the biggest markets in the world. It has huge, massive numbers, and it is very, very far from saturations out there. We have the creator economy, the creator industry is crazily booming. We have over 500 million handsets connected to the internet, and like I said, it's a country with over 1 billion population, so it's very, very far from the saturation. It is in a net, if you landed from Mars, this is the gold mine. This is the country to be in if you're creating content and if you want to build your career, and you just need the right ways to dig it.
And I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. And 500 million handsets. Put that in the context of the US. The US is 400 million people. That's huge, and still that's only 50% of the population. What are they watching? Are they watching? Are they on international platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and what have you, or is it more local? Who are the platforms in India?
There are, almost all the global players are in the market, from the likes of YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus via the relationship with Hotstar. But at the same time, there are a series of local native players, platforms being launched, who also understand the content ecosystem, who understand the local culture and the content very well, at times better than some of the global players. And there are, I think, if you talk about top 10, it will be an equal divide of 5 global players and 5 domestic players. But obviously, we will, with time, see consolidation happening in the market. But what people are consuming is, while they are consuming a lot of international content, but obviously the local regional content, which is more relatable to them, which the language which they understand better. And as you know, India is not just about one language, Hindi. It's a consolidation of various languages, various dialects, and various cultures, which is changing every 50 to 100 kilometers throughout the country. So there is a variety of content being consumed, ranging from music, comedy, food, fashion, and lifestyle.
And tell me, I know that, as you know, we've done a lot with the music industry in India, where piracy used to be an absolutely massive issue. Is piracy an issue in the video market in India?
It has been, but I think that's a standard issue globally, worldwide. This is something which is probably not specific to India as such. This is something which globally all the countries, all the platforms are suffering. But I think it's not as bad as it used to be, with more and more platforms building great apps on their phone, making it very accessible for people to consume content in a very easy way, customizing the price points for the Indian audiences. And Indian audiences also adapting to these platforms. It has dropped down, and also at the same time, with some of the finest tools, platforms built by the likes of YouTube, the content ID tools, which helps companies like us and other content creators to control down and work on the piracy. It has helped a lot. But I think that this is something which is not specific to India. This is a global issue, but controlled to a large extent by now.
That's great. And so I should have said at the beginning as well, anyone who's watching this, please do send your questions in. At the end, we will be talking with with Gurpreet and Satya and Prajakta all at the same time. So any questions, please get them in, and we'll try and ask as many as we can. So back to you, Gurpreet. With One Digital, who are the big local creators? What kind of genres are they in, and what kind of numbers are they recording?
Are you talking specific to One Digital Entertainment?
Yeah, I mean, who are the kind of creators you're working with, and yeah.
So we work like I said, some of the biggest creators and primarily YouTubers, which starts from Carrie Minati, which is right now not just India's but Asia's biggest creators, about to hit 30 million subscribers on YouTube. While he is the biggest male creator in the country, and for us as well, Prajakta, who's on the panel, is the India's biggest female content creator whom we are representing. And then obviously then number 2, number 3, number 4, and all of the ladder down there. We work with in the food segment, the biggest content chef in the country, Sanjeev Kapoor, and the likes of it. So the list is just, it's a 3,000 content creator list, but I don't want to sound braggish, but let me just say we manage the biggest content creators in the country.
That's fantastic. And what kind of numbers are they? You say Carrie Minati's got over 30 million subscribers, which is amazing. And T-Series as well, and is I think still the world's largest YouTube channel, but it is in India. But what kind of viewership numbers are they delivering? Is it as wow as the subscriber numbers?
It is. In fact, I mean, when we speak about Carrie Minati, he just recently launched, just to give you an example, I don't want to throw fancy numbers, which are not understandable by a lot of people. But someone like him released a song called Yelgar, which became on YouTube. It has the highest number of views in the first 24 hours. And I'm not talking just about the India, I'm talking about the global market. Prajakta, sitting there, has already crossed 1 billion views on YouTube alone. And these numbers are right now, what we're speaking, only specific to YouTube. Just you can just calculate their numbers basis their Instagram reach and the other platforms.
What formats are working in India?
Both. I mean, there was a time when a lot of priority was been given to short form content, but as of now, I think as much as long form videos are working, a lot of people are creating some fantastic web series. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of content creators are doing it on their own or working with large scale platforms to get content commission from them and putting on the platform. But at the same time, a lot of short form content in form of Instagram Reels and other short form platforms which have come up, which are 15-second or 30-second or 1-minute videos. So it's a mix. There are content creators who have their niche expertise in short form content, and while there are creators who are creating some fantastic long form content as well.
And in a lot of the other episodes that we have produced, there's been a lot of conversation about e-commerce and merging with social commerce and live streaming and creators actually selling products live. Has that hit India's shores yet?
I think in terms of social commerce, these are still early days. It has started. A lot of platforms and people have started experimenting with it. It has still to reach all the corners in the country, but we are very bullish as a company about social commerce. We are right now, as we speak, working on ventures, investing into ventures, which we shall be announcing very soon, because we know social commerce is the future for the country overall. But to answer your question, it's still in early days, but that's the future.
That's cool. So it's exciting. As you say, you've got 500 million people that still aren't connected, and here comes e-commerce. So the only way clearly is up. Final question for you, Gurpreet, before we move on to Satya. But how are the artists, how are the creators, how are the channels monetizing themselves? Is it traditional revenue shares, or are there other ways of monetizing?
Jasper, we hear this a lot, specifically when globally, when we speak when we meet our global friends, because when people compare India's CPM viewership values compared to the other market, Those values might look smaller than to some of the markets in the West, but at the same time, you need to see that those values mean something when you have enough inventory, when you have enough viewership backed with that. That's where the actual money is, your CPMs multiplied by how much viewership that you are being able to reach out to. And India, like I said, the creators out here are beating some of the biggest content creators worldwide in terms of viewership, again, just because of the sheer volume of the consumer which are there in India. So when in that aspect, when you multiply their CPMs into the millions of views that they are doing, the revenues are good. But at the same time, the bigger revenues are also coming for them, because the digital creators are the new age celebrities, breaking barriers and competing with Bollywood, TV, and other genre of celebrities, and doing a lot of brand endorsement deals, doing a lot of in-branded content deals, and making a good amount of revenues for them.
That's fantastic. So Gurpreet, we're gonna come back to you, and also when we come back with the whole panel together, we're going to hear that wonderful story about how you and Prajakta first got together and started working together. But we'll hold that for the end. And remember, everyone, please do get your questions in if you have any to ask the team. But Gurpreet, for now, again, congratulations on getting married. We will see you back here on the VidCon Now sofa shortly. But up next, we have one of the another amazing person, one of the nicest men in media, or nicest people in media in India and beyond. He's the director of YouTube content partnerships. We've known him for a very long time, Satya Raghavan. It's a great title, Satya. But what do you do for a living? If you're on a first date, and I know you're married, but if you were on a first date, what would you tell them you do for a living?
Jasper, thank you so much for having me on VidCon. Believe it or not, it's actually my first time at VidCon. So I'm actually really honored to be here, and that too with Gurpreet and Prajakta. I love frameworks. So I'm going to tell you what I do in terms of a simple framework. Imagine 4 corners, if you will, of a square. On one corner is the consumer. And you already talked about, such a large consumer base that India has. On the other corner is the advertiser. The advertiser, monetizes or reaches out to these consumers using platforms like YouTube. On the third corner is the creator. Creators like Prajakta, creators like all the creators that Gurpreet mentors and grows. And last but not the least, in the fourth corner is are what we call key opinion formers. We, me, my team, we sit at the center of all of these 4 stakeholders. Our job is to make sure that consumers get access to a great product, to some amazing content. Our job is to ensure that creators are able to create the best content and also reach out to their consumers who might like their content. Our job is to work with advertisers and help them advertise to these consumers, and sometimes do it through these creators. And last but not least, build a responsible platform that everyone in India is really proud of, including the key opinion formers. So that, in a nutshell, is what we do. But yes, our job is way more complicated than these 4 corners that I painted for you. But it's probably the most fun job you can ever have.
That's fantastic. And you've been there pretty much since YouTube launched in India, right? I mean, you really have grown up with a lot of these channels. I remember first meeting Prajakta when she had something like 10,000 subscribers, and you've been there right from the beginning, right?
Yeah, not pretty much the beginning, but yeah, now I've been there for a long time. I practically remember every milestone that Prajakta crossed. So yes, it's been an amazing ride.
So Gurpreet mentioned some of the creators that he's working with locally. Who are the creators? Who are the big creators in India? What are the genres they're working on? Who are you working with?
Yeah, I mean, our creator ecosystem is extremely large at this point of time. But the interesting thing is it's also growing very fast. you can always ask yourself that, hey, there are 500 million consumers already on the internet. Shouldn't everyone who wants to create on the internet already be there on the internet? But that might not be the case, because there are channels starting every day and channels that are succeeding every day. So we work with literally, thousands and thousands of creators. These creators come from many different genres, and you know a lot about India, so you know how important languages are. In the early days of YouTube and in the early days of internet, perhaps most of the content that was getting created by people who came from some of the larger cities like Bombay or Delhi. Mostly, they would create content in English or Hindi or a mix of that, which is our own version of Pidgin, which is English. But as every year passed by, as internet connectivity increased, we saw the 4 southern languages really bloom about 5 or 6 years ago. And lots of creators who got inspired by some of these creators from Bombay and Delhi, we saw them emerge in cities like Chennai and Bangalore and Cochin. And a few years ago, when there was a huge telecom revolution in India with the likes of Jio and other service providers who really opened up the internet for literally everyone to access, we saw creators come now from every part of India, right from Ladakh up in the north to Kanyakumari down south. The northeast of India, which is so vibrant from a music point of view, we see hundreds of creators come out from there. So at this point of time, really, creation is happening from across India, as is consumption.
That's fantastic. Now we've spent quite a bit of time talking about the local scene, the local creators, and how successful they are, and how big they are, and and there really are some wonderful creators in India. Like I say, thousands of them. Let's look at international creators. And when I say international, I just mean people from outside India. It doesn't have to be English language or any other language. Which overseas creators are succeeding in India, and how?
Yeah. So one of the things that a lot of people might not know about India is the fact that, even though we have a population of about 1.3 billion, I think at last count, there are about 200 to 300 million people who understand English. There might be about 150 to 200 million who speak English very well and things like that. And that number obviously is growing. So a lot of international content gets consumed in India. I think the largest of those set of creators come from the US, but now we're increasingly seeing, content being consumed from creators across from the United Kingdom or Australia or literally any other country where, good English speaking content is created. But it doesn't stop there. Music, as you know, music is universal. It doesn't really have a language. So at this point of time, and it took us by surprise, but not to anybody's surprise actually, is the amount of Korean music that is getting consumed in India, with the likes of Blackpink or BTS. So we suddenly saw a lot of content come in from other parts of Asia, which earlier you wouldn't see as much. We also saw a lot of content come from Latin America, as far as music is concerned. Some of the creators, I think, tend to be evergreen. So it goes without saying that, Lily Singh or Superwoman is still extremely popular in India. Newer and newer generations are rediscovering and discovering her. She's doing pretty well. And a whole lot of others. And at this point of time, all the names are really escaping me. But it's a very interesting mix of consumption that's happening in India, with a lot of international content being consumed here.
And that's great. So it's not overseas Indians, and it's not just English language. You mentioned Lily Singh. I have to say, I do remember when the first YouTube Fan Fest in India, she, at the Bandra Fort, she upstaged Shah Khan, and it was the first time we all kind of went, oh wow, okay, we get this YouTube thing now. Absolutely stunning. So what are the formats? I know I asked Gurpreet the same question, as more kind of broad across all platforms. What formats are working for YouTube? What do you think is really exciting? What should creators be thinking about when they're producing content on YouTube?
Yeah, and this is actually my absolute favorite question, and it's actually interesting to see how content on YouTube has evolved over the last few years, right? A few years ago, predominantly the kind of content that you would find on YouTube was mostly entertainment, which is music or content around movies, whether it's Bollywood or any of the other movie industries from across the world, content from television or sports. It is predominantly entertainment at one point of time. But as the audiences grew and as people realized that, look, YouTube is that one place where you can find different kinds of content, we in the last 5 or 6 years, we saw the rise of what we call informational content. And informational content comes from across different genres or verticals like food or technology or beauty or style or fashion. And for the last couple of years, we're also seeing learning emerge as a huge use case on YouTube. So at this point of time, if you actually looked at YouTube on your home feed, you obviously would have listened to one of the latest music videos that perhaps came out from a music label or from a movie studio. You would also probably be wanting to know how to cook a cake using your pressure cooker. Because that's what we all did during the lockdown. Some people are still doing that. And you might also be learning on YouTube, trying to write a competitive exam that can help you get ahead in life. So it's very interesting how at a meta level, these three large buckets of content coexist. And if you then deep dive into that, there are several other ways to then skin that pie. There are people, creators who I call are the talented folks. These are the people who are probably creating content around comedy, or they're creating content around art or music. There are people who I call are the people who are driven by passion. So they're creating videos around food or beauty. And of course, there are subject matter experts who are creating content around learning. And if you look at any one of these verticals, the interesting that has happened in the last few years is the sub verticals that have emerged. So at one point of time, comedy was just comedy. But if you now go deeper into comedy, you will see that comedy has stand-up comedy, it has web series, it has vlogs, so many different sub verticals that have emerged in comedy. And similarly, I could spend hours talking about the sub verticals within food and the sub verticals within beauty and so on.
Fantastic. Well, I want to carry on talking to you for a long time, Satya, but A, we're running short on time, and B, we're having a few issues with your internet connection. Your audio is fantastic. But I'm just gonna ask one more question, then we're gonna meet awesome Prajakta. But we talk about there being thousands of creators, and there's a lot of them succeeding like really well, big numbers. What about the new beginners? Is it too late?
See, if you look at the internet cup of India, right? So imagine that all the internet that you can capture can be captured in a cup or a glass, right? At this point of time, there are about 550 million people who are perhaps connected to the internet, and that number is growing every day. But depending on what report or what secondary report you read or what research report you read, in the next few years, there's going to be approximately 1 billion people who are going to get connected to the internet, right? So it's entirely possible that your bullseye consumer for your kind of content is not even on the internet at this point of time, and is probably going to come onto the internet tomorrow or a month from now. That's what I keep telling creators all the time, which is, you can either see the glass as being half empty or as being half full. That's exactly where the internet is. Sorry, I was gesticulating too wildly and my earphones fell off. And that's exactly where the internet is today.
It's Bollywood.
Yeah, it's absolutely. So that's exactly where the internet is today. So, the best time to start is actually now. And I keep telling creators that, look, anyway, to succeed on YouTube, think of embarking on a 1 or a 2 or even a 3-year journey. So you have it now, and there are millions of consumers who are waiting for your content at this point of time, who are already connected, and there are millions of consumers who are yet to come onto the internet. So now is as good a time as any to come onto platforms like YouTube and start to create content.
That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, the growth is exponential. I mean, even just in the last 30 minutes of this session, Gurpreet said 500 million, you said 550. India has grown 10% in 30 minutes. But Satya, thank you so much. Please don't go away. We're gonna bring you back at the end to the VidCon Now sofa. But up next, we have an absolutely wonderful talent, Prajakta Koli, the Mostly Sane channel. Prajakta, when we first met you, I think you had about 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers. You came to an academy. You were very nervous. It was wonderful. And look at you now. Please, for anyone who's landed, 3,000. Okay, well, 3,000. And look, for anyone who's landed from Mars today, please give us a little bit of an intro. Who are you? Tell us about your channel. Who is Prajakta Koli and what is Mostly Sane?
So Mostly Sane is a comedy and other conversations kind of a channel that started in the Feb of 2015. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing when I started making content. I think like a lot of us at that time on the internet. I remember when I started, I just thought that the scope of the internet is not going to be more than 30,000 subscribers. So I think that's all I want in life. And boom, 6 years later, we're just like, oh my God, we did not see this happening in our country or in the whole world. But yeah, I make comedy content. I make I make social conversations. I try to use my platform for as many things as possible that affect me and my audience. But yeah, that's like and subscribe to my channel if you're from Mars.
So what are the numbers? How many subscribers do you have right now?
I'm at about 6.1 right now on YouTube.
Wow! So from 3,000 to 6.1 million. That's absolutely fantastic. How have you built that fan base? I mean, this has been over 6 or 7 years, right? It's not just overnight. So you've really worked at this. How have you built that fan base in India?
I think the fact that I started off so blind at a time when, actually, you know what, even right now, we don't have any blueprints to content when it comes to digital. Like, you don't really know how do you do this. Every creator sort of has their own journey. Every creator sort of has their own way of paving their way throughout, because there's no one way of doing it. But I think I completely lucked out when I started off, because I sort of started working with people who were already great at their job. And two of them are here with us. So I started working with Gurpreet. I started working with Satya. I remember one of the very first meetings I had with YouTube was with Satya. And I was just so surprised that I was like, oh, okay, it's crazy how all these people who are so amazing and so good and so successful at what they're doing are willing to help me, a creator who has absolutely no clue or direction or anything at all right now. I just wanted to get up every day and create content. So I think a big chunk of that credit goes to the fact that I just happened to be around the most amazing, helpful people who sort of guided me and have been guiding me ever since. Like Satya said, he's been there for every milestone of mine. My first 10,000, my first 100,000, my first million, my first fan fest. He's been there for everything. So has Gurpreet. And I think that sort of backing and that sort of guidance is what has, I think, got me so wherever I am.
You always have been. You remain so wonderfully humble, Prajakta. How are you engaging with 6.1 million fans? How do you continue to grow that pie?
I think one of the best things about the internet is the fact that a conversation is very, very easy. You know, I come from working in radio before this, and I think one of the biggest reasons why that didn't work for me was, I think, because I could not have a conversation. I could not hear anybody talking back to me. It wasn't going anywhere, I think, because of that. And I think that was the high that I got from creating content online. And it sounds extremely tough. It sounds like a massive feat, that how do you engage with 6 million people? But it is, honestly, I think I've been doing it, and if I can do it, honestly, for someone as absent-minded and as much of a space cadet as me, if I can do it, I think it's very easy. I think just listening to what your audience has to say, going through your comments, sort of taking your audience's feedback in your content, I think that is the biggest sort of relationship foundation you can build with your audience when it comes to maintaining that relationship online. I think it makes a huge difference when you take the feedback from your audience about what's working for them, what's not working for them. And isn't that the game overall? When you're creating content, I think it's just meeting midway with what you want to create and what your audience wants to watch, and sort of building a beautiful relationship there. But I think that is what has been happening. Again, we have these very regular meetings, we have these very regular deep dives, which has a lot of numbers, which overwhelm me in the beginning, but it always comes back to help a lot when I sit down with my partner managers at YouTube, when I sit down with my team here in One Digital's office, and we sort of go through things time and again to keep a tab on what direction is my content flowing in, where is my audience coming in from, what kind of age group am I speaking to. And I think that helps me a lot creatively also to curate content.
That's great. And just as another reminder, we know that quite a few of your fans are tuning in to watch this interview. It's lunchtime in India, so they're not dipping out of school or college or work. But please, fans, please do ask questions. If you have any questions you would like to put to Prajakta, we can try and ask them a little bit later on. Let's talk about collaborations. A lot of creators and KOLs do like to collaborate with other artists. Is that a strategy that you employ? Do you like working with other artists?
I absolutely love it. In fact, I'm shooting a collaboration this evening that I'm very, very excited about. I absolutely love collaborations. I think that's one of the, it's also this band thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that tribe thing where I feel so good when I meet other creators and I see the mutual respect we have for each other, because we get everything that went into wherever we are today. We understand the journey, we get the hustle. So I think just the fact that I honestly, when I first started doing collaborations, a usual 2-hour shoot would go up to like 6 hours, because we would just sit down, jam on like 6 more ideas that, this is what we can do. I'm sure BU Nick. Like, Nick and I, every time we meet, is just a long day of laughing and discussions and shooting more than we thought we could. And I feel like mixing up those energies like that, breaking the monotony, even personally, for me, is a great break from how things have been working on the channel from week to week. So I am a massive fan of collaborations. Also, the fact that I'm a fan of all these creators that now I have the pleasure of collaborating with. I remember the first time we did something with Lily, my mind was blown. I was like, how is this even possible? How does she know my name? And then, like, it's just a whole thing. Like, every time if she messages me, I'm just like, oh my god, like I said message to Gurpreet that, oh my god, Lily's messaging me, what is it? So I'm just constantly overwhelmed with the fact that all of these creators that I have now the pleasure of working with, I'm a fan of. And then the fact that I even get to be in their creative space is a massive learning for me too.
Okay, massively unfair question coming. If you could choose one person to collaborate with, who would that be?
I had 2 people in mind, but YouTube kind of made one happen. So Ellen DeGeneres and Michelle Obama. I'm sending the energies out in the universe for my video with Ellen to happen. Just letting it out there.
Oh, fantastic! And that's actually quite a nice segue into the subject of doing things that matter and having a purpose, and actually having a role, as a role model for a lot of fans and people in India and beyond. How important is the concept of purpose in your life? I mean, as you said, you do a lot of comedy videos, but you also do a lot of very serious stuff. I mean, you were at It's a Girl thing a couple of weeks ago talking about some very serious subjects. So how important is purpose in Prajakta's life?
Honestly, I feel very, very blessed that I get to be in a position where I have a voice that is heard. I have an impact and I have a reach. And I mean, I've always been a massive fan of of conversations. I always believe in conversations. And I think it's just an absolute boon that I get to be in a place where I can initiate and continue conversations. So I definitely want to use my platform for that. Having said that, again, it wasn't a conscious decision. The reason I sort of try to invest as much of my time as I can in engaging with my audience is also because a few years ago, when I first spoke about mental health and body shaming, the conversation, it was a domino effect that happened into a lot of conversations that happened after that. We spoke about girls' education, we spoke about internet hate, we spoke about so many other things. And I think the spark of that came from the fact that I spoke to my audience and they spoke back. They shared their stories. They told me what they want to discuss. They told me why it's important that we talk about this. And I think that is what gave me more than enough motivation to sort of keep continuing these conversations, because every time there is a similar conversation with purpose that happens on my channel, there's always a spike that I see in what I hear back. And I think that is what keeps me going. And I understand that, okay, all right, this is something that my audience wants as well.
So I mean, it's so cool, and we could talk to you forever about that subject. So maybe we'll do a whole separate episode with you on the subject of purpose. But let's go back to the business of being mostly sane, Prajakta Koli. How important is it to you to work with brands like advertisers?
I mean,
you do work with brands.
Yeah,
which brands do you work with?
Right now, we're actually on a long-term contract with a couple of brands that I love. So we're working with Mealy, which is an Indian headphone and speaker brand. I'm having a great time working with Gillette. It's just a brand that I sort of resonate with so much, and the brand also reciprocates when it comes to like creative liberties and things like that. So I think these two right now, but we've done work across the board. We've done a bunch of different brands in the past 6 years. We've done cell phone brands, we have done travel brands, we've done why am I blank? I should know this.
Because you're live to the World Wide Web. Okay, we've got a question from Tanaya, and please forgive me if I've pronounced your name wrong. Can't wait to hear about your recent film. How great was it working for a Dharma film?
It is. I mean, we're still shooting. We haven't finished the film. I start shooting again very, very soon next month. So I'm very excited about it. But it's just one of those classic pinch me, slap me, what the hell is going on? I do not believe, am I dreaming? It's one of those moments. I honestly have been a massive Dharma fan. I have been a Bollywood buff all my life. A few of my favorite films are Dharma films. So the fact that I get to be in one is just a massive thing. And I think and it keeps getting better from there. I mean, the cast is crazy. We have Varun Dhawan, Kiara Advani, Anil Kapoor, Neetu Singh. Our director Raj is amazing. The story is wonderful. I'm very excited about my character and the way the arc progresses. So overall, very, very excited. It feels rather surreal. I feel like I might just have one of those days sometime soon where it finally hits me and I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? But right now I'm so overwhelmed that I don't feel anything.
It's so wonderful. So let's look back at what advice can you give based on the last 6 or 7 years of your life? Going from when we met you with 3,000 subscribers, if you were to meet someone new wanting to set up a channel, a presence in India, what's the main advice you would give them? What would you have done differently, or what advice could you give them to succeed?
I wouldn't have honestly done anything differently, because you really can't. I have been doing this for 6 years, but can I tell how life online is going to be a month from now? No, I really can't, especially in a country like India where things are changing faster than we can imagine. I mean, like Satya said, there is a strong possibility that whatever content a new content creator wants to upload has a specific audience that maybe hasn't even come online right now, but might be there in like 3 months, and you don't know how that's going to work for you. So I think, but as a creator, basic advice, I think I would say, start right away. Don't dilly-dally. There's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a wrong time. You really can't go wrong with starting. Just begin if you really want to do this. And second, I think over and over, we keep coming to this again and again, that online, literally the only thing that's ever going to work out for a creator is their content. So put all your energies, put all your might to your content. Do what you need to do to make sure that your content is the ruler, instead of the production and the marketing and the sales and the PR. I mean, all of that falls in place eventually, but if your content isn't right, or it's not clicking, or it's not sort of going through to your audience, it's never going to help. It's always trial and error. You will never hit the nail on the head in the first time, and if you did, you might not do it again. So it's always trial and error. Keep trying new things. Try feeling it out with your audience as to what works, what doesn't work. Another thing that really has helped me, and I feel like has kept me in the game ever since, again, this is a completely personal opinion. Each creator works very differently. This is just how I sort of like looking at things. I think for me, one of my biggest players in mostly sane is consistency. I think just staying at it every week relentlessly. I know sometimes it gets very, very exhausting, but for me, that is what has pulled me through thick and thin. And you really don't have control over a lot of things online. You don't know what content's going to work. It's very unpredictable. You don't know which video works, and then suddenly you go from 3,000 to 3 million, or sometimes all videos of yours are going great, and then suddenly something stops working. So you do not have control on that, but what you do have control on is consistency. So I would subscribe to that for sure. And finally, please work at building a team. When I started, if I had to do something differently, this is the only thing I would do differently. When I started off, I would sort of work with my team earlier than I did. I mean, for the first 2.5, 3 years, I was so obsessed and possessive about my content. I would shoot, write, edit, upload, do everything by myself. I wouldn't let anybody get involved in that process, because I felt like it's my content. I get it better than anybody else. But the minute I sort of started letting more people into the circle, I realized that, oh my God, there are people who are trained for this, who do this job better than I ever could. So that way I can put all my energies on what I am good at, and everyone else can put their energies on what they are good at. And since then, I think everything changed for me. Everything got only better. So eventually, when you start off as a creator, in some time, look at building a team, because that team is what will take you everywhere you go ahead. And you need your tribe when you're working, because otherwise it can get a little bit lonely.
Well, listen, Prajakta, as ever, I could talk to you forever. It's been fantastic. And don't go away, because we are going to bring Satya and Gurpreet back to the VidCon now sofa, and have a little chat amongst us. We are running over time, but hey, it's the world's second largest country and the biggest video market in the world, right? So we can have VidCon give us a little bit more time. We've also got some more questions here. We've talked about the positives. We talked about the good stuff. I'm going to start back with you, Gurpreet, because you've been the most patient waiting. What are the largest challenges, Gurpreet, to success in the Indian market?
I think from an Indian market perspective, like I think Satya and Prajakta, everyone spoke about understanding the cultural elements, understanding the relatability. But because what has worked for most of the content creators in the country is the relatability factor. If you are not being able to build a personal connect or being able to relate, and the good thing is there's so much to relate because it's a very diverse market. So it's not like if your personality does not suit a certain set of audiences, you can't create content. There are mega mainstream creators, but at the same time there are a lot of niche creators creating content in specific languages on specific topics and growing and making big numbers and big revenues out there. I think that's something where it's the ethos of your channel, that you don't have to replicate what somebody else is doing and just do it even if you don't feel passionate about. You can still do what you feel passionate about, but at the same time have a sense of understanding, is this relatable, will this be able to reach out and make an impact on a certain set of audience. That number might be small or large, does not matter. Don't just jump into the number game. There is enough business and enough success for small or the large niche markets.
So, Satya, same question. From a YouTube perspective, what are the largest challenges to success in India?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at each and every one of the four stakeholders that I talked about, trying to see things from their perspective is very important, right? And that helps you understand the entire business, if you might call it that, a lot better. One of the things that I tell creators is that, be a little patient. Think of signing up to, at least a 2-year journey. You never go viral in your first video as such. That obviously happens to a whole lot of people, but it's not really that at all. What Prajakta told about being consistent is extremely important. And every video that Prajakta puts out or a creator puts out allows them to learn a little bit about what they can do a little better, perhaps, right? And use that to kind of improve their next video. And it takes a little bit of time for you to then understand, okay, this is what really works well for me. Here's what I can do well, and here's all the feedback that I'm getting from consumers. So one of the things that that creators should understand is that you have to be a little patient, and that can be a challenge. I know a lot of creators who said, oh, this is not for me because their first video didn't work, or it's taking a long time to get to 1,000 subscribers. But if you just wait it out for a little bit, your 1,000 subscribers will take time, but the next 9,000 to get you to 10,000 will take you a little less time. The next 90,000 to get you to a lakh or 100,000 is going to take you a little less time, because you are learning. You've kind of gone through the learning curve. You are getting into your element. Your fans are talking about you and spreading your message. Right. So I think that's one of the challenges that I would love everyone to understand, and and keep listening to what Gurpreet said and what Prajakta said about being consistent, about being relatable, and then good things happen. Right. So I think that's the one thing I want to put out there.
That's great. We've got another question for Prajakta from Aditya this time. What is the best project that you have ever worked on?
Oh man, that is very tough to choose, but I think one of my favorite projects has to be the YouTube originals that we did with Michelle Obama. The fact that she stirred the sugar in my tea proves that we're practically best friends.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, I'm sure when we ask her the question, she'll give the same answer as well, Prajakta. Prajakta, while we're still with you, we've talked about social stardom and creating content and what have you, but India really is. I mean, I've said it a few times. It's one of my favorite countries in the world. What excites right now? What is really exciting about being in India, culturally or business-wise? What's really cool at the moment in India?
I think what's amazing to be in the content game in India right now is that, when I started off, there was a very traditional model of the sort of relationship that creators had with their viewers. Traditionally, there's always a pyramid where you have a few viewers on top with the most numbers. They had the most popularity. Then you had a few below them, and then the newer ones were at the bottom. But because of the diversity in the consumption of content in India right now, the pyramid is non-existent, sort of like a globe now. You know what I'm saying? Where now one person's bottom could be other person's top. You really can't tell what's top from bottom anymore, because I know there is a massive chunk of audience in my country who have absolutely no clue what Mostly Sane does, who have not subscribed to my channel, who do not know me. So I am not relevant there. I am not a creator there. I am at the bottom of the food chain there. You know what I'm saying? But there must be local creators with, say, 3,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers who are the stars ruling the market there, and none of us can get close to them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that is the beauty of India. The fact that every creator has an audience dedicated, ready to spend time and money on consuming whatever it is that they have to deliver, is extremely empowering for creators. And I think that's a great time in India. And I really don't think that this can happen anywhere else other than India.
That's absolutely fantastic. I do apologise for the noises in the background. Kittens, and 15-year-old assistants running around in a thunderstorm. Gurpreet, back to you. Before I ask you the question about the what's exciting about India, I forgot to ask, how did you and Prajakta meet? Give us that story, because it's a fascinating story.
Prajakta used to work as an intern in the radio station, and Sudeep Larry, who is vice president of content and strategy for One Digital Entertainment, he was in one of those meetings with the radio stations and met Prajakta there. Somehow he's in one of the videos which I put also, just for the fun sake, and he knew that this girl should not be a radio jockey, but should be a YouTuber, should be in the cameras. And he cheated her for a couple of months, for I think, if not more, at least, trying to convince her that why don't you quit your launch a YouTube channel. And we truly believe that you are meant to be in front of the.
Gurpreet, I'm very sorry. I'm going to have to interrupt you. You're breaking up quite a bit here. But I think I'm right in saying that Prajakta, you started as an intern, right?
Yeah.
You started, and then that's absolutely fantastic. Okay, so Satya, for you as well now, what is it that excites you the most about being in India right now? And don't mention the cricket.
Yeah, no, I just think that the sheer amount of vibrancy that you see in this market is really exciting. The other thing that I think is really exciting is that you can actually get up in the morning, you can think of a great idea, and you can actually execute it by the time the day is over, and it can become a success overnight, right? I think that is something that always excites and fascinates me. The other thing that actually humbles me a lot is the way in which creators like Prajakta, the way in which folks like Gurpreet and Sudeep and everybody at ODE actually end up inspiring a whole lot of creators, to actually do what they're doing. Perhaps follow on that path, but maybe at some point of time strike their own path right out there. I think that really is also fascinating, the way that is happening. Prajakta got inspired by someone at one point of time, perhaps, and she decided to do what she's doing. But she, at this point of time, is inspiring hundreds of other people to, perhaps find their calling. And I think that is extremely exciting.
That's wonderful. And final question for you, Satya. What is next for YouTube in India?
I mean, next is everything. There are so many more creators out there to find and help and grow. There are newer languages out there which are waiting to come onto YouTube in India. There are folks from different parts of the country who are waiting to get connected. So it's all our collective plates are just full of all of that potential at this point of time. So yeah, lots to do.
I'm going to come and start a channel. Prajakta, you have the final word here. What is next What's up next for Prajakta? For Mostly Sane.
I think, you know, Jasper, all my life I was that geeky kid who sort of like, you know, drew my entire plan out for me. I knew every peg. I knew what I'm going to do. The one thing I decided when I started doing YouTube was that I don't want to do that. I don't want to plan everything in advance. For once, I don't want to know what I'm going to be 5 years down the line. And that has worked really well for me. And I want to stand by that. But having said that, a lot more acting. I think that challenges me. It's like I've tasted blood. You be on a film set once and then you're like, oh my God, I want to do this again. So a lot more of that. We have a few conversations that are very exciting. Hopefully things turn out. Lot more content. We have a bunch of exciting ideas that I swear to God, I cannot wait for them to come out on my YouTube. GP and I, we were talking about it like 2 days ago, and he's nodding because he knows what I'm talking about. And it was one of those moments where I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's what 2021 has to be about. So we're working on a massive project for my YouTube that I'm very excited about. But overall, just lots and lots of writing, lots of performance, trying to try new things, stepping out of the comfort zone one step at a time, but creating content all the time.
Any sneak previews for the VidCon Now live audience around the world or not? And if you can't, don't worry. As I said, I'm not out for a Pulitzer.
I could. I just get, GP will get in a lot of trouble. I could.
But listen, so look, we are definitely over time, but what a fabulous session. I've learned so much. As ever, I have written a lot of notes. I'm going to try and summarize what we talked about, but we were talking with 3 people who are all wonderful, all from the biggest video market in the world and growing. And as we started at the top of the hour, we had 500 million subscribers. By 500 million connected. By the middle of the show, we had 550. So we're probably about 600 million connections by now. But the views it's not just about connection. The views are huge and growing. And some wonderful, it's not just about being in India, the local languages. There are a lot of overseas creators and content being very successful in India as well. But the words that came out, kind of looking forward for anyone looking to succeed, whether they're in India or wanting to come into India, try new things, be consistent, build a team, be patient. And I think the best word of all, the best advice of all, is the best time to start is right now. So with that, thank you so much to Gurpreet, to Satya, to Prajakta. It's been absolutely wonderful. And thank you to all of the viewers in the World Wide Web for joining us on this wonderful visit to incredible India for VidCon Now. We'll see you in 2 weeks. But again, Prajakta, Satya, Gurpreet, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jasper.
Thank you so much, Jasper.